welcome to her husband, their father. My name is Everett, and the reason we're here is simply I'm going to share some stories with you and hope that something resonates with you and I'm able to inspire you, motivate you, or motivate you to heal yourself. All right? So thank you very much for being here with us. We're going to continue to grow together. I've been told to work on my pace, and so I'm going to do that today, all right? First things first, let's get in a couple breaths, all right? Let's go in through the nose. We'll do one more to help relax ourselves. Feel the shoulders go down. All right, let's get into it. Today's topic is going to be pain. P-A-I-N. We all know the cliches. No pain, no gain. Pain is just weakness leaving your body. So, story time. I'm going to tell you about some pain that I went through. My senior year when I was playing football, I was all jacked up. I was really excited to let people know that I'd been practicing really hard. And I'm coming across the middle doing a preseason game, and right before I get to the end zone, I'm tripped. And my knee was tweaked just a little bit. By 6 p.m. that evening, my knee had swollen to the size of a grapefruit. So my mom had me consult with the trainer. The trainer had me go see a doctor, and then the doctor had me go see a surgeon. From there, the surgeon, very nice man, said, "Hey, you need surgery." The very first thing that they do, though, is they're getting you prepped for your surgery. Before you even go in to have it done, they ask you a medical history. So this medical history is going to take them back, and it's going to give them information. That way they know the best way to treat you. So we're going to correlate that to emotional pain. So we've got to be very precise in identifying our emotional pain so that we can know where to cut, right? This is important because behind your pain is healing, and you cannot heal without that pain. I did not ask for my knee to be injured. I did not ask for the pain, but nonetheless, I still need that to be healed. We still need that emotional pain to be healed. So you can take pills, you can use braces, but you need surgery. So you've got to go back and do an emotional history. So some of us, maybe we were abused. Maybe we watched our dad beat our mom. Maybe we watched our mom cheat on our dad. Maybe we were physically abused. Maybe we were raped. Maybe we were assaulted. It might have happened to a family member, and they might have passed that down. We call that a generational curse because somebody sometimes can go through something so traumatic and they don't deal with it, they don't talk about it, they do not go back and do their emotional history, and it can be passed down from one generation to the next generation because nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the room. And so if I don't go back and do this emotional history, what happens to me is I heal funny. I now have to walk with a limp. I might even stop walking sooner than I need to. I might even end up in a wheelchair. How many of you are walking around with a limp? How many of you are walking around with crutches? How many of you are using emotional wheelchairs because you have not chosen to go back and do an emotional history? And this doesn't feel good. It's gonna hurt. It's like that surgeon going back, doing that medical history. It's not going to feel good. Behind your pain is healing. That is the only way to get healed. So you're either gonna have a scar, or you're gonna have a limp, or you're gonna be in a wheelchair. Now here comes the hard part. We cannot continue to ask others for permission to heal ourselves. Avoiding the pain will never allow it to be healed. You cannot continue to avoid the pain. My wife reminded me of a really good quote by Jay-Z. Do not run from your pain. Go towards it. That's the only way for you to begin to heal. Sometimes we're so busy giving everything that we've got, and we expect other people to kind of give us confirmation. A lot of times it's the people closest to us. It can be our spouse, our coworkers, our best friends. We talked about this last week, seeing ourselves below on that ranking system because we haven't done our emotional history. And now we appear to be smaller to them. And we've been in this space so long walking around with a limp that it makes them feel better about themselves. it kind of benefits other people for you to walk around with a limp, because then maybe they don't have to identify what they're going through. They know you're in some amount of pain, but they're not helping you. And there's a reason for that. Don't take it personally. People just get very comfortable with you being where you are so they can be where they are. And the minute that you start to do that emotional history is the minute that you can start to forgive them or to forgive yourself. Now, here is the absolute hardest part. So for me, a lot of the source of my emotional pain was my childhood. A lot of us have that. We've got that inner child inside of us screaming, hey, acknowledge me. Acknowledge me. And it's good that our ego protected us up until this point, but now we're walking around with a limp and we need to be healed. My mother was the cause of a lot of my emotional pain. And I do remember a time where I kind of began to tell her that I think she had something to do with it, and she blew up. She went out of her mind, because one of the hardest things for us to do as people is to look at somebody we've hurt and acknowledge that we've hurt them. I use the word sorry all the time now. Sorry is not a word of weakness. Sorry is a word of power. You have got to forgive yourself, but you've got to be honest. You can't skip a step. You cannot lie to the surgeon. You've got to go back and do your emotional history so that you can begin to heal. You could have got picked on at school. You could have been told you're too fat, too skinny. Somebody might have called you stinky, poor. It doesn't matter. Things hurt us in different ways. And sometimes we decide that my pain's not that bad. But if you're walking with a limp, don't let anybody tell you that that pain's not that bad. A lot of times if we try to acknowledge that pain to the person, they're not going to admit it. They're going to get mad at us. And what we do is we shrink back down inside of ourselves. And it eventually starts to make it to where we can't walk straight, because that person does not want to admit that they had something to do with our pain, because it'd be admitting to themselves that they did something wrong. But the truth is, we have the capacity to forgive them and to forgive ourselves, because people are doing the very best that they can with what they have at that moment. That will help you to forgive them and to forgive yourself. It's not your fault that your parents got divorced. It's not your fault that you were left alone. It's not your fault he cheated on you. I've done some bad things in my past too, and I've had to forgive myself for those things. Those things did happen, but there was a reason. I was missing something, and so I choose to forgive myself. We cannot keep sacrificing ourselves for others with very little in return. We continue to re-traumatize ourselves. And the ugly truth is, as long as we keep looking for them for healing, it will never happen. Do not ask them for permission. You've got to heal yourself. So do me a favor. Stop asking for permission. Be your own surgeon. Go back and heal yourself, guys. I want you to be healed so that you can continue to bring fruit forward and that you can live the life that you want to live. Identify that emotional pain, and so that one day you hop out that wheelchair and you move to crutches. And then when you move from crutches, you're able to walk, and then you're able to run, and then just maybe, you can be who God intended you to be, and you can fly. So lessons for today, go back and do your emotional history, forgive, and allow yourself some forgiveness too, all right? I love you all very much. Thank you so much for being here. Peace and love, and I'll see you on the next video. All right, thanks, bye-bye.